Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the In-Depth series. My name is Pooja Divedi. Today we are going to discuss the Green Deal Industrial Plan. This Green Deal Industrial Plan is something that India can also learn from. What does India need to learn? How can India also bring out such strategic policies for pushing towards a more sustainable, environmentally sustainable economy? We will talk about that only. From the perspective of your preliminary examination as well as the mains examination, it is important to learn all these. From the perspective of GS mains paper, second as well as third. Let's first of all look at the background. On February 1st, 2023, the European Commission released its communication on a Green Deal Industrial Plan for Net Zero Age. What is Net Zero? Net Zero does not mean that any economy is not at all going to emit greenhouse gases. It is about capturing it. If I am releasing 10 something amount of greenhouse gases, I am also capturing it and taking it out of the atmosphere. So that becomes net zero. So this is one of the policies to emerge into that era only. It outlines the actions that Commission intends to take to stimulate investment. Okay. So what does this plan want to do? Get funds for having such kind of technology, industries, so that the industries become completely sustainable, environmentally sustainable in nature. Now, European Commission, what is it? It is EU's politically independent executive arm. It implements the policies, brings out certain legislation as well. It is alone responsible for drawing up proposals for new European legislation and implements the decision of the European Parliament and the Council of the EU as well. Moving ahead, it promotes the general interest of the EU by proposing and enforcing legislation as well as by implementing the policies of the EU budget. Members include a team or college of commissioners, one from each EU country. That means it currently has 27 members. President is Ursula von der Leyen, and it was established in the year 1958. The location, we can say headquarters, is in Brussels, Belgium. So this is a preliminary fact. Now for political leadership, how it is composed. Political leadership is provided by a team of 27 commissioners, one from each EU country, and it is led by the Commission President. The Commission President decides who is responsible for which policy area. Remember that. Moving ahead, what are the other important work that EU does? It proposes new law. Okay, that means it will propose the basic premise on which laws can be formulated. It manages the European Union policies and also it allocates the funding for it. It also enforces the EU law as it is an executive arm. It represents the European Union internationally as well. So these all are preliminary facts. Now let's talk about the Green Deal Industrial Plan. Green Deal Industrial Plan envisages to build a simpler regulatory framework. This is of course to ensure that the industries are regulated in a manner which is simple. It provides faster access to funds because seldom time it happens due to the paucity of funds. Any industry is unable to thrive in the correct direction. So it wants to provide faster access to funds as well. It enhances the skills because due to this transition into the from the conventional period into the Green Deal period, it will definitely be needed that it will definitely be an outcome that many jobs will be lost as well. So in order to ensure that this doesn't happen, the upskilling of students and aspirants are also needed. Improving the EU's trade network as well, so that like-minded partners can come together to invest into a better future. Moving ahead, first of all, simple regulatory framework. Simpler regulatory framework, what does it involve? It entails to formulate a Net Zero Industry Act. This act will not only simplify rules will be simplified, it will also speed up the issuance of permits for green projects so that the industrial sector does not get underwhelmed that, okay, it is taking so long. Now what happens when this happens? The morale comes down. It also takes into account the projects which are renewable energy generation arrays, carbon capture and renewable hydrogen production facilities. So all these environmentally friendly techniques will be encouraged. Other than this, it also has the provision of Critical Raw Materials Act. This act will provide access to materials like rare earths that are crucial for developing net zero technology. Right now, China is one of the leaders in this. So EU does not want to depend on a country like China or any other country. Never put all your eggs in one basket. Okay, so this is what the policy wants to do. Now, providing faster access to funds. State aid rules will be loosened in order to help EU's 27 government with investing in the clean energy project. So when the rules are diluted somehow, it becomes easier for investment. The plan allows countries to take money from the existing EU funds. That is not a problem. It does not involve any fresh cash. That means new funding will not be raised. It will seek to direct 250 billion pounds to serve the green industry from the existing EU money only. So no funding will be generated by from the scratch, we can say. It is around 800 billion. The existing EU money, 800 billion pounds. And this, there will also be at a later stage creation of European Sovereignty Fund, which gives a structural answer to the investment needs. Alright. Now, when we talk about enhancing skills, the Net Zero Industry Academics, another portion or provision for this is that it will upskill and reskill programs. It will have the provision of upskilling and reskilling programs in strategic industries, because according to the Commission's website itself, 30 to 40% of the existing jobs might get affected due to green transition. That means if any industry is producing coal, now it won't be needed anymore because we are transforming into a green world. So what happens? Because of the loss of livelihood in that sector, upskilling and reskilling is needed. So that is also going to be helped. It will focus on developing the skills needed for well-paid quality jobs as well. Moving on. Now, improving the trade network. It will develop the EU's network of free trade agreements. It could be with India as well, and other forms of cooperation with partners to support, who want to support in green transition. This is an opportunity for India, because India can also, first of all, take advantage of this green plan with respect to investment in those green plans. Other than that, technology adaptation as well as technology upskilling can also be done. It wants to establish trade deals for raw materials and clean tech with like-minded partners. That will create a lot of job opportunities with respect to raw materials, critical raw materials in India as well. Moving on, it is being said that this particular policy is there to counter the USA's Inflation Reduction Act. This was introduced by the Biden administration of the US in August 2022. This is a climate change legislation. Under this climate change legislation, this policy would provide direct $390 billion towards clean energy projects. Other than this, of course, it will be in the form of huge tax breaks. Taxation will be reduced so that more investment can take place, and it will also give incentives to both customers and manufacturers who are manufacturing it and others who are buying it. So tax break is also going to be there. Incentives are going to be there. So that concerned the European Union. European Union said that there are concerns regarding it possibly discriminatory provision, because the industries which could have developed the manufacturing sector in the European Union might get lured into the USA, and that was something which was very real in nature. IRA's tax credit and subsidies to green product makers would put European companies at another point. It will put the European companies at a disadvantage because they are not getting any tax break. How can India learn from this? See, first of all, for a country growing at 6 to 8%, upfront directional shifts can have a big impact. So strategic policies on how to shift to greener alternatives can be given in rail, housing, energy demand sector. And India could, if India doesn't do this, India could lock itself into an energy inefficient and environmentally poor growth path. And we do not want that. Second is that as countries face global climate change, being green is likely to bring global competitive advantage. India has two options. Either to develop technologies which will help the entire world in adapting to better, greener technologies. First that. Second is just to keep on building resilience against the climate change. The first one is better. because precaution is better than cure. Okay. Then the third point is India has already experimented with some success with state-led nudges. That is in the area of promoting LADs through public procurement policies. But now what do we need? We need full suite of industrial policies. Now this was something very sectorial and fragmented in nature. What do we need? We need proper policies. Now India has to proactively internalize questions of distribution and justice if we are to go a green transition. This is with respect to the loss of livelihood. Suppose if a company wants to go from coal to renewable energy, what and how can we upskill and reskill our youth? What is the necessity of it? Then only we can say compensation could be provided to those states which are rich in coal. If they go out of production and manufacturing of coal because of this transition, how are we going to compensate them? So that's all in this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Stay updated.